only reason you're alive today is because your parents, grandparents, and ancestors prepared for and overcame hell on earth, including everything from plagues to natural disasters like drought or famine, economic crises, chaos, and war, events which are still a threat. Only now, we're far more vulnerable since many of us lack the survival skills that our forefathers once took for granted, skills that will soon fade from memory, which is why, in just a moment, I'll reveal the long-lost secrets our ancestors used to thrive against any danger so that you can enjoy a stockpile of food which lasts for months or years, unspoiled, unlimited safe-to-drink water, enhanced home defense, greater financial security, and medical knowledge that will help to keep you healthy when doctors, 911, and hospitals aren't available. In short, the ideal safety net for when there's no electricity. Stores are ransacked, and the world turns dog-eat-dog. Just as I discovered these secrets over 20 years ago, when a disturbing act of terrorism turned my life upside down, that took me from total dependence and a headless chicken panic and a crisis mindset, trapped in the smog of city life, to the lush green hills of Utah on my own self-reliant homestead, happy in my ability to provide the must-haves of life for myself and my family, even in the event of a major collapse. Secrets that could also save you thousands of dollars on your bills. I'll also reveal the 3 worst traps even self-reliance experts fall into, which could cost you everything in a catastrophe, even if you feel confident right now. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Suzanne Sherman, and I'm the host of the Red Hot Chili Prepper and the Wasatch Report podcasts, shows for which followers tune in every week to discover more about self-reliance and how to survive a crisis. I share how to use traditional skills inspired by our ancestors to provide enough tasty food, fresh clean water, and medical know-how to keep my family safe and comfortable, even in a disaster. But my life wasn't always like this. In fact, I used to be a criminal defense attorney, deep in California's urban sprawl. I'd buy what I needed for any given day or week and really didn't plan on backups for supplies. I'd take my sons to the doctor for issues I'm capable of solving today. And I never expected life to change, simply assuming the government would handle it if something went wrong, or that my job would always be there. Until suddenly, my life was turned upside down when one day the electricity fizzled out in an act of terrorism that could soon bring our country to its knees, after a mysterious individual slipped into an underground vault beside a busy freeway, cut through local telephone cables to stop law enforcement from responding, and then blasted over 100 rounds of ammunition for over 30 minutes into a nearby electrical substation where they surgically destroyed 17 transformers and then vanished just a minute before police arrived, which is a big deal because this substation also formed part of America's Achilles heel as one of only 9 substations that would need to fail to trigger a nationwide blackout, shutting off your lights and heating, killing our water supply, and causing all refrigerated food to expire in only a few short hours. A situation that could also last for months or even years, as these transformers can take over 2 years to replace. And in the chaotic aftermath of a crisis, when stores are empty, communication is paralyzed, hospitals are overwhelmed, the economy free falls, and it's chaos on the streets, things will certainly get a lot worse. What's more, a direct assault may not be needed, since a hurricane, earthquake, solar flare, or wildfire could be just as harmful, if not more, thanks to the dire state of our electrical grid, which was given a lousy D+ rating for safety by the American Society of Civil Engineers, with large parts of it being built just before World War I. A danger which NASA, NATO, the NSA, FBI, the DoD, and the Department of Homeland Security have all flagged as a major threat that politicians have so far ignored. Which got me thinking, because whether it's a blackout, a new pandemic, another Great Depression, or a food shortage that gets you, There are so many things to worry about and so many ways to stretch yourself thin that trying to protect yourself and those you love from harm can often feel like a losing battle. Even worse, everywhere I looked for help was a dead end, since many of the so-called experts were, in reality, tactical gadget addicts who valued overpriced gear over knowledge, gear that might not work in a crisis. Fortunately, history had the answer. After all, our ancestors had already overcome far worse, or you or I wouldn't be here, so I figured the best way to prepare for a crisis was to follow their time-tested ways. The problem was, where to start? Particularly as I was living in the suburbs with a hectic full-time job and a family to support, and not some log cabin in the woods. Neither could I convince my family to suddenly up sticks and live off the grid. So I started small. I learned how to preserve food, either by pickling, fermenting, curing, smoking, larding, salting, or canning it, ready for hard times without spoilage. How to treat common injuries, like cuts or burns, without infection, by using plants, herbs, and weeds which grew all around me, transforming them into poultices and natural antiseptics. I uncovered how to filter and clean water using basic household items that would transform even putrid bog juice into crystal clear liquid even a baby could safely drink. I learned how to make household products from scratch, such as soap or toothpaste, which have saved millions of lives throughout history, and more, all of which, over time, also slashed my monthly bills by thousands of dollars. Soon I felt confident enough to move to my own homestead. I bought land, and now I regularly hunt for food like a frontiersman, turning what I harvest into valued goods. I grow fruits, vegetables, and herbs, often using companion planting methods just like the Native Americans did. I raise chickens, forage for natural remedies, and more. However, on my journey, I also missed many shortcuts and paid far more on items than I had to. I also had to update a lot of the knowledge I discovered to cover the modern gaps in understanding which our ancestors had justifiably missed, like the placebo effect, or the best modern-day tools to use that will save you time even without electricity, all of which motivated me to share what I knew so that others wouldn't make the same mistakes. And the response was overwhelming. But the one thing I heard time and again was that these lessons had to be written down. That way, they'd be easier to follow and far more secure in a power outage as opposed to an electronic copy, which might be impossible to access. So I teamed up with the folks at Survivopedia.com, one of America's leading survival preparedness websites, to record what I learned and make it easier for others to find. Together, we proofread every word. To clear it of jargon, we created straightforward illustrations and highly detailed diagrams that are easy to follow. After which, we tested the skills by asking people unfamiliar with self-reliance to see how they helped them. That way, we could see what someone who lacked our inside knowledge would do and improve our message accordingly. We even posted the trickier parts online to gather feedback and guarantee that even the meanest internet trolls gave it a big thumbs up, which they did. And after a year of hard work, we finally had it. Introducing the Lost Frontier Handbook. Inside, you'll discover how to build a food stockpile that lasts for years unspoiled, without electricity, chemical preservatives, or expensive survival rations that can clog up your insides if eaten for too long, with step-by-step instructions on how to pickle, freeze-dry, smoke, ferment, cure, or salt your food. The worst food preservation mistakes to avoid that could make you sick. The top 22 foods to stockpile for long-term food storage, such as beans, grains, powdered milk, pasta, and big surprises too, like popcorn, soy sauce, or vanilla extract, with a host of little-known and surprising survival benefits, such as a disinfectant, shampoo or deodorant, and cleaning agent, even on greasy metal, a remedy for burns, and more. Plus, how to pack them for a multi-decade shelf life with quick organizational hacks to guarantee you get the very most out of your space. and all for a tiny fraction of the $3,600 you would spend on MREs to feed your family for a month. Then there's how to enjoy limitless, safe-to-drink water 100% off-grid with a do-it-yourself water filter that removes 95% of harmful threats, which you can make in under 3 minutes from a bottle and cotton. And this way, shield yourself against waterborne disease, which kills 3.4 million people every year, especially after a crisis when cases skyrocket, plus dozens of all-natural remedies found throughout North America, like the common weed Native Americans used to stop bleeding fast, to safely clean wounds as a powerful antiseptic, or to heal away burns when applied as a poultice. How to treat stings, like those from wasps, bees, nettles, or tear gas. The common herb you can use to beat back inflammation, a disorder that's also linked to many of today's worst killers like cancer, diabetes, heart disease, and others. How to treat someone who's been poisoned with a teaspoon of homemade powder, the tasty berry that's now used to reverse high cholesterol, if you prepare it right. How to soothe an upset stomach and kill off parasitic worms with a flower. How to prepare wild lettuce, one of history's most highly effective painkillers without addictive properties that many Americans now use to treat back pain, osteoporosis, muscle aches, and other life-limiting conditions. How to banish skin infections with a leaf, once prized by the Zuni tribes of New Mexico. How to alleviate a sore throat, relieve swollen joints, kick back a fever, defeat flu symptoms with an ancient Egyptian brew, and treat diarrhea using roots you'll find on a familiar bush. Then there's how to build a Native American first aid kit, including the best leaf to use as a Band-Aid. That's also covered in Special Forces training guides. How to treat a toothache, soothe away bug bites, heartburn, or arthritis pain. Which mysterious plant, when eaten, will protect you from nuclear fallout, and more. Plus, 10 plants you must avoid at all costs, as they could lead to miscarriage, liver disease, a heart attack, or worse, even though they're often sold as herbal treatments. Next, there's the very best survival superfood recipes, including the 19th century MRE that costs only 10 cents and is made from 3 basic ingredients which won the Civil War and last for 150 years, unspoiled. The Vikings' secret used to beat scurvy and discover North America centuries before Columbus, which also comes with a 5-year shelf life. The survival food that was once so important a war was fought over it, which starving soldiers could eat and march for 36 hours nonstop before getting hungry, which was also prized by sailors, fur trappers, Arctic explorers for months-long trips with no other food source. Plus, even more hidden treasures like porcupine meatballs, tree bark biscuits, mud apples, acorn muffins, glazed turnips, small game stew, a pocket-friendly portable soup, and more. Then there's how to hunt, tan, and process wild game, including the very best items to hunt with, like bows, guns, or camo, how to effectively stalk prey, the top hunting spots to visit, why deer behave differently in different seasons, priceless intel on tracking, and more. Because in a crisis, when stores are empty, hunting could be your only way to put food on the table, as well as to provide resources for clothing and shelter, which you can then sell for a profit. And with over 40 million deer, hogs, and wild turkey and other games roaming America, there's plenty to choose from. Next, there's 75 items worth more than gold in a crisis, particularly after an EMP, when every electronic device on the continent is fried. Because with a landline phone, gas-powered fridge, copper coins, a swing trivet, photo developing kit, light bulbs, a can opener, wind pump, flypaper, an old coffee pot might not be at the top of your list right now. Once you discover their use, they soon will be. What's more, you'll soon discover how to source them dirt cheap without having to search the earth. But even more surprising is where to find free land in the USA for your own little slice of paradise, just like the settlers of America's past, who were given 160 acres of free land as part of the Homestead Act of 1862, with detailed information on fixer-uppers, geography, proximity to things like cities, rivers, army bases, natural disasters, and more, including states as diverse as New York, Alaska, and Colorado, with the pros and cons for each. Because with only a tiny 1/5 of an acre of land, using the tricks you'll find in this book, you can provide all you or your loved ones need to overcome a disaster. Next, there's how to grow a pioneer survival garden for huge harvests with minimal work, thanks to companion planting techniques like the Three Sisters method of Native Americans, where different crops were planted together to reinforce one another by keeping pests away, improving your soil quality, or by fruiting at different times for delicious year-round meals. How to raise chickens, because there's no better friend to a homestead, with one of the lowest growth-to-feed ratios in nature for every pound of meat produced, a constant supply of eggs, pest control, compost, soil aeration, and more, with step-by-step guidance on the best breeds to own, how to avoid illness, maximize your harvest size, and other priceless information. How to brew ginger beer in a range of flavors that could save you $850 a year on soft drinks on average. Even better, America's colonists didn't just value ginger for its taste, but for its amazing ability to fix an upset stomach, like Delhi Belly or Montezuma's Revenge, thanks to its scientifically proven bacteria-killing oils. Then, there's how to prosper through another Great Depression, with easy feasting secrets that make the USDA's $25 a week thrifty food plan look wasteful. Plus, how to make popular products from scratch that aren't just healthier and higher quality, but can also sell for several times their original value, including soaps, glues, and other prizes. And how to negotiate any deal you want, barter economy or not, including one everyday item you could sell for 13,400% return. If history in nations like Venezuela, Argentina, Russia, Germany, and others is any guide, the top 25 foods to forage, like purslane, cattails, dandelions, or chickweed, and other gems, found throughout the United States, which most folk will walk by, giving you a huge advantage when it hits the fan and you know how to spot them. One big reason many modern-day foragers are paid $300 an hour to find them. The best frontier self-defense weapons to own. For the best blend of accuracy, stopping power, reliability, ammo availability, and more, along with in-depth instructions on home defense tactics that will help you keep you safe and avoid becoming a victim. Finally, there's how to bug out safely when all else fails, including the best items to carry, whether you're on foot or in a vehicle, just like our ancestors did on the Oregon Trail during a 5-month trip plagued by storms, drought, disease, hostile tribes, bandits, and wildlife, plus a whole lot more. Just remember, that's barely scratching the surface of what's inside, as I couldn't realistically cover everything in this message. Even better, since its release, the Lost Frontier Handbook has exploded in popularity, with hundreds of reviews like this pouring in.
What I like the most about the Lost Frontier Handbook is how practical it is. It gives you tools and information on things that can keep you alive if you were ever in a situation where you had to survive off the land. Things like, which plants are okay to eat and which aren't. I love how it gets into how to make water filters, which is, something I didn't have on my mind until I read this. And it's definitely something that's very essential if you were to be living off the land.
In 2020, I figured out sort of how unprepared I was. I would have been totally lost. I actually came across this because I was looking into canning and ways to preserve food. And boy, does this one ever cover it. It actually puts my mind at ease. All the stuff I stay up at night worrying about, a lot of that's covered in here. It really goes over these forgotten techniques that my Great Depression grandparents probably would have known, and people who lived on the frontier. This is probably as valuable as like a 6-month supply of food, because it really is a teach a man to fish kind of book. So I would highly recommend it.
I would definitely highly recommend picking up this book. I think that there is plenty of information and projects and materials in here that would not just add to your knowledge and your skill set, but also be really fun projects just to work on as a family. This book is very practical for everyday use, and especially will become gold during situations when we might need these type of skill sets when things are not available.
But that's not all, because we also decided to package the Lost Frontier Handbook together with several more incredible bonuses as a special thank you and give them to you 100% free, including bonus number 1, the 80 square foot medicinal garden. Because with health costs now set to skyrocket to $20,000 a head every year, a little herbal remedies know-how goes a long way. Not to mention the chaos any crisis could inflict on our fragile global supply chain, which would be catastrophic with 131 million of us reliant on prescription medications to live. That's why we've collected the best herbal remedies wisdom into one handy place, along with step-by-step instructions on how to plant, grow, and prepare your high-yield medicinal garden in any state or season. Meaning now you can have your own natural walk-in pharmacy with herbs the pioneers used to heal all sorts of problems, each of which has been broken down to match a specific medical problem for easy reference, such as cardiovascular issues, cancer, infectious disease, muscle and joint trouble, emergency first aid, and more. Next, there's bonus number 2, surviving an economic collapse. This guide was co-written by Luis, an Argentinian who endured one of the worst crises in history, when riots, governmental collapse, 20,000% inflation rates, and black market gangsters plagued a nation. With sky-high unemployed and millions of people struggling to feed themselves, an event that historians now agree was worse than the Great Depression and could soon happen in the U.S. That's why we'll show you all the steps Luis took to not only keep himself and his 6-year-old daughter safe, but to grow richer even as others suffered. After all, many of the wealthiest people today made their fortune during times of national crisis, solely because they knew how to prepare. Next, there's bonus number 3, Homestead Cooking 101. Because nobody wants to eat boring, nutrient-deprived meals out of a can forever, especially when gourmet-level food is so easy and cheap to achieve, even without electricity, with a Dutch oven, haybox cooker, solar stove, or even a car engine, just like the British soldiers did in World War II, all of which you'll uncover in this guide, plus dozens of smoky, rich, and delicious recipes, like dashboard cookies, poached rosemary salmon, vanilla ice cream that's made without a freezer, lemon pepper turkey breast, homemade bread, no fire needed, brownies, and more. All of which is only available for a short limit of time on this website, since frankly, we're not sure we can afford to give them away for long, especially as each bonus is normally sold for $27 each, or $81 total. And with thousands of orders pouring in, you can see how this quickly adds up. Even better, you'll also get our 60-day money-back guarantee. That means if at any point during the next 60 days you're not completely 100% thrilled, simply send us an email and I'll give you back every cent. No ifs, ands, or buts. It's that easy. That's right, you'll also get 2 full months to test drive the Lost Frontier Handbook before you decide. That's our guarantee. So, is it a deal? I hope so, because today, for a limited time only, you can own the Lost Frontier Handbook plus all the great bonuses at a 72% discount. That's a grand savings of $114. All you need to do is click the button below. What's more, if you act now, you'll also gain instant access to the Lost Frontier Handbook video library with step-by-step instructions on many of the projects above, plus dozens more jaw-dropping secrets you won't find in the book, which will update on a regular basis, for now until forever. Just don't get mad if you ignore this offer today and see it at full price tomorrow. or what others would normally pay, when you could have secured this life-saving bargain for less than the cost of a tank of gas. That would still be worth it, especially once you stop to consider the true value of what's inside, which may someday save your life or that of a loved one, as well as the huge sum of money you could save on your bills and other expenses, all for the ultimate insurance policy. Knowledge you can also freely share with others once it's yours, because even if you never open this book, it will always be there, ready to help you in a crisis. Think about it. This is the same reason 9 out of 10 people own a smoke alarm. You might own a firearm or buy insurance of any kind, even though most of us will never use it. And even if the big one never hits, you'll still benefit by saving cash and boosting your health with homegrown meals or meds for a longer, happier life, with greater independence, free from the worry of stock market crashes or skyrocketing gas and energy prices, and all from just a few minutes of pleasurable reading. In short, you have nothing to lose. So don't delay. Click the button below to access your copy of the Lost Frontier Handbook, plus all the great bonuses. You'll then be taken to your order form, which has been encrypted with military-level software and 3 kinds of antivirus to keep your details safe for a final look. After which, if you select a physical copy, we'll immediately ship your book straight to you. But even before you receive your book, you'll also be able to access the digital version of the Lost Frontier Handbook to check out right away and immediately have on hand in case anything happens, or as a backup. Plus, in the extremely highly unlikely event that something goes wrong, all you need to do is send us an email at support@lostfrontierhandbook.com and we'll help you out ASAP. It's that easy. The way I see it, you have 3 options. Option 1, do nothing, which you've already seen is a clear loser, turning you into a victim, whether it's from a power grid collapse, rising costs, or something more sinister like a war or a natural disaster that damages our infrastructure and cripples supply chains, robbing the food from your table, electricity from your home, water from your taps, and life-saving medicine from your life at a time when violence, disease, and other healthcare emergencies will likely soar. Or you can go for option number 2 and try to do it yourself. But I don't think it'll work. After all, you've now heard my story and how, in a flicker of time, your life can subtly change from happy and thriving to a bleak world of dog-eat-dog survival. You've seen why you should never take things for granted and how small things can make a big difference. Plus all the mistakes I made on my journey that I don't want you to repeat. But let's say you somehow pull it off. You've embraced that it's always up to you, and after months or long years of hard-won experience, gallons of sweat, thousands of dollars in investment, and more false starts than you can count, would it really be worth it? Especially when you could take a simple, straightforward, reliable shortcut right now by going for option number 3 to take advantage of our generous offer and join tens of thousands of people just like you who've already benefited, because all it takes is one bad day for your life to turn sideways. And the skills in this book have withstood the test of time, since without them, you wouldn't be here. What's more, unless you act now, our parents and grandparents may be the last generation to practice these life-saving skills. They laid the world's greatest foundation we're about to forget. That's why we feel it's our duty to preserve such knowledge and pass it on before this wisdom slides into oblivion. But we can't do it alone. Everything you need is inside the Lost Frontier Handbook. All you need to do is click the button below to access it, fill in your details, and pass through our highly secure military-grade encryption process, after which you'll also have 60 long days to decide if it's right for you. And remember, only if you act now will you secure our exclusive bonuses 100% free, plus gain unlimited access to our members area where you can ask us anything you like, anytime you like, in addition to the Lost Frontier Handbook's video library. Think about it. Today, you can take part in something great by boosting your self-reliance, helping yourself, loved ones, and even total strangers with this knowledge. Knowledge you can also freely share with others once it's yours. But you must act now. Since, as I said, we're not sure how long we can keep this generous offer online. That means it's first come, first serve. And at the rate things are going, it won't be long before stock runs out. Plus, you never know when this controversial video will be taken offline, so don't delay. Say yes to boosting your self-reliance. Say yes to standing tall, resistant to any crisis life throws at you. Say yes to doing the right thing instead of depending on others for your well-being, and to protecting those you love from harm. And remember, this book, plus all the great bonuses you'll receive, are not available anywhere else. I hope you make the right choice, and God bless.